Welcome back, everyone. We're diving back into this fascinating world of sleep.
It really is fascinating.
I mean, we spend about a third of our lives doing it, but most of us barely understand it.
Right.
And you know how people always say sleep is the best medicine?
I've heard that, yeah.
Well, tonight we're going to explore just how true that is.
Sounds good.
We're on part 6 of our deep dive into sleep.
Like part 6 already.
That's right. And tonight we're going beyond, rest and relaxation.
Okay.
We're talking about how sleep impacts learning, skill development, and even creativity.
I'm ready.
All right, then let's get to it. So, you know, it's easy to think of sleep as a time when our brains power down, right?
Yeah, I can see why people would think that.
Like everything just shuts off. But it turns out it's actually quite the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, during sleep, our brains, they're incredibly active. They're cycling through all these different stages, and these stages are critical for all sorts of functions.
So it's not just like an on-off switch.
Nope, not at all.
More like a dimmer switch, huh?
Exactly. And one of the biggest misconceptions is that, sleep is passive.
Oh yeah, like we just lie there and that's it.
Yeah, but in fact, sleep is a highly organized process.
Interesting.
It's super complex, and it's essential for our physical and mental well-being.
So it's an active process. Our brains are busy.
Exactly.
So what does that actually mean for us?
Right, like how does all this brain activity while we're asleep actually impact us when we're awake?
Good question.
Let's start with learning. Okay, we've all been there, right? Cramming for a test or trying to absorb a ton of information,
Definitely been there.
like for a big presentation or something.
Yeah, totally.
Does sleep actually make a difference in how well we learn?
Absolutely it does. Think about what happens when you're trying to learn something new.
Okay.
Your brain initially stores that information in a temporary holding area. It's called the hippocampus.
The hippocampus?
Yeah, you can almost imagine it like a USB drive. It has limited storage capacity.
Okay, I can see that.
If you keep adding more information without giving your brain a chance to process it, that USB drive can get full.
Oh, so it's like my computer.
Kinda, yeah. And when that happens, your ability to learn and retain new information starts to decline.
Oh, that makes sense. So if I stay up all night, like trying to learn a new language or memorize a presentation, my
Yeah.
brain might actually be working against me.
In a sense, yeah. That you might be able to cram information in the short term,
Okay.
but without sleep, it's less likely to stick.
Oh, I see.
And here's where sleep comes in. During sleep, and particularly during a stage called slow wave sleep,
Slow wave sleep.
yeah, which is a deep stage of sleep, your brain transfers information from that temporary storage in the hippocampus to the cortex.
Okay.
And the cortex is like your brain's hard drive.
Oh, so it has a lot more storage.
Way more, yeah.
So sleep is like hitting the save button on all that new information we've taken in.
That's a great way to think about it. And it's not just about quantity of sleep either.
Oh, really?
No, the quality of your sleep, particularly the amount of slow wave sleep you get, directly impacts how efficiently information is transferred and stored.
Wow. So how much slow wave sleep I get affects how well I remember stuff.
Exactly.
Uh,
This has been shown in tons of studies. Some of them have even shown that just a short nap can significantly boost your learning capacity.
seriously, a nap.
Yeah, seriously.
So are you telling me that like a power nap could be more beneficial than an extra hour of studying?
It certainly can be, especially if that extra hour of studying is cutting into your sleep time.
Wow, I would never have thought that.
It's true. There was one study that found that people who took a nap after learning a series of face name pairs did 20% better than those who stayed awake.
20%, just from a nap.
Just from a nap. And what's really remarkable is that this improvement was directly linked to specific brain activity patterns called sleep spindles that occur during sleep.
Sleep spindles.
Yeah.
Those sound important.
They are. Sleep spindles are bursts of brain activity. They essentially act as couriers transferring information from the hippocampus to the cortex.
Oh, so they're like the movers.
Exactly. The more sleep spindles you have, the more efficiently your brain is consolidating memories. It's almost like these sleep spindles are little data packets carefully moving files from your temporary storage to your long-term memory bank.
So getting enough sleep and the right kind of sleep is crucial for learning and memory.
Absolutely.
But what about after we've learned something? Does sleep still play a role?
Absolutely. You've probably heard the saying sleep on it, right?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Well, it turns out there's a lot of truth to that.
Really?
Back in 1924, a study found that those who slept after learning something new remembered significantly more information than those who stayed awake,
Huh.
even if the time interval was the same.
So even if they were awake for the same amount of time?
Exactly. This suggests that sleep isn't just about passively storing information.
Oh, so it's more active than that.
It's about actively consolidating it and strengthening it.
Interesting. So sleep is more than just hitting the save button then.
Yeah, it's like hitting save and then running a defrag program to make sure everything is organized and accessible.
That's a good analogy.
During sleep, our brains replay experiences, strengthen connections between neurons, and weed out irrelevant information.
So it's like cleaning house.
You could say that. And the type of sleep we get after learning also matters. We get most of our deep, slow-wave sleep in the first half of the night. And this stage is particularly important for consolidating fact-based memories.
So if I'm trying to memorize like a presentation,
Yeah.
I should probably prioritize getting a solid block of sleep early in the night rather than staying up late and sleeping in.
That's exactly right. Those early hours of sleep are prime time for memory consolidation. And it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. The deeper and more undisturbed your sleep is, the better your brain can perform these essential tasks.
This is fascinating stuff. But what about all the information we don't need to remember? Does sleep help us with forgetting too?
This is where it gets even more interesting.
Oh,
It turns out sleep isn't just about strengthening memories.
really?
It's also about selectively weakening or even erasing those that are less important.
Huh, that's interesting.
Think about it. If we remembered every single detail of every single day, our brains would be completely overwhelmed.
Yeah, true.
Forgetting is just as crucial as remembering.
So our brains are doing some serious editing work while we're asleep.
That's one way to put it.
But how does this selective forgetting actually work? How does our brain decide what to keep and what to toss?
Researchers have been exploring this using a technique called targeted memory reactivation.
Okay.
In one study, participants were presented with a series of words and told to either remember or forget each word.
Wow.
Afterward, they were allowed to nap. And what they found was incredible. Sleep selectively strengthened the remember words while actively weakening the forget words.
That's amazing. Like our brains are taking instructions even when we're asleep. But how is this possible? What's going on at a neurological level?
We're still uncovering the precise mechanisms, but it seems to involve a complex interplay between the hippocampus, the cortex, and the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in decision-making. During sleep, the brain seems to replay memories, and depending on cues received during the learning phase, it can either strengthen or weaken the connections associated with those memories.
So it's not just about passively replaying the day's events.
Right.
It's about actively evaluating them and deciding which ones deserve a place in our long-term memory. It's almost like our brains are running a sophisticated algorithm sifting through our experiences and prioritizing the ones that are most meaningful or relevant.
That's a great way to think about it. And those sleep spindles we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
well, they seem to play a role in this sorting process as well.
Oh, really?
The fastest sleep spindles in particular appear to be involved in this selective strengthening and weakening of memories.
So those sleep spindles are like tiny postal workers,
Aha, I like that.
sorting through our mental mail and deciding what goes to the inbox, what goes to the spam folder, and what gets filed away for future reference.
Exactly. They're critical for ensuring that our brains are not only storing information efficiently, but also filtering out the noise and clutter that we don't need.
This is all so incredible. It really makes you appreciate the complexity and power of sleep. We've talked a lot about fact-based memory, but what about other types of memory?
Like what?
Like the kind that allows us to learn and master new skills.
Yeah.
Does sleep play a role there as well?
It absolutely does, and this is one of the most exciting areas of sleep research. We're finding that sleep doesn't just help us remember facts and figures, it also helps us consolidate motor skills, refine our technique, and even improve our performance. Yeah, it's remarkable, how sleep can take those things we practice during the day and essentially transform them while we're unconscious.
Yeah, it really is amazing.
This has been demonstrated in studies, looking at all sorts of skills, from typing, playing musical instruments, to athletic performance.
I've always been fascinated by that phenomenon,
What phenomenon?
where you struggle with something you go to sleep, and then you wake up able to do it almost effortlessly.
Oh, yeah.
It's like your brain has been working behind the scenes, smoothing out the rough edges.
That's a great way to put it, and that's exactly what we see in studies. Like, for example, one study found that participants who slept after practicing a typing sequence showed a 20% improvement in speed and a 35% improvement in accuracy when they were tested the next day.
Wow, that's a big improvement.
It is, and they hadn't even practiced in between.
So they just slept.
That's it. It was as if sleep had taken their initial clumsy attempts and transformed them into smooth automatic movements.
That's incredible. So it's not just about practicing more,
Oop.
about practicing and then allowing sleep to do its magic.
Exactly. Sleep seems to take what we've practiced and refine it, making those movements smoother and more efficient. It's like sleep is running a software update on our motor skills.
I like that analogy. But what's particularly fascinating to me is that this improvement isn't just about like overall performance.
Yeah.
Research suggests that sleep actually targets specific areas of difficulty within a skill.
Oh, really?
So if you're struggling with like a particular passage in a musical piece or a certain sequence of movements in a sport, sleep seems to focus on those areas and help you smooth them out.
That's right. It's like sleep is a master coach identifying our weaknesses and helping us address them. And this isn't just speculation either. Studies using brain imaging have shown that during sleep, the brain replays activity patterns associated with the skill being learned.
So it's actually rehearsing?
It seems that way, yeah,
Wow.
particularly during REM sleep.
Huh, interesting. So it's as if the brain is rehearsing and refining the movements in its own time. That makes you wonder,
I bet.
if we could somehow tap into those sleep-related processes, do you think we could accelerate learning even further? Could we somehow guide those rehearsals while we sleep?
That's a fascinating question. It's one that researchers are actively exploring. There's a growing field called targeted memory reactivation. And in that field, they're trying to do just that, use cues during sleep to enhance the consolidation of specific memories or skills.
It sounds like science fiction.
It does a bit, doesn't it? But the implications are incredible. Imagine being able to learn a new language or master a new instrument simply by sleeping.
Wow, that would be amazing.
We're not quite there yet, but the possibilities are certainly intriguing. However, even without those advanced techniques, the implications of sleep for skill development are profound. And this isn't just relevant for musicians and athletes either. It applies to anyone learning a new skill.
Oh, so like anyone.
Yeah, anyone, from typing to coding to surgery.
So essentially, if we want to learn something new or improve an existing skill, we shouldn't just focus on practice. We need to prioritize sleep as well. It's like a two-pronged approach: practice during the day, consolidate and refine during the night.
Exactly. And when it comes to athletes, the impact of sleep is particularly striking.
Oh yeah, how so?
Well, studies have shown that athletes who get enough sleep have better reaction times, improved accuracy, greater endurance, and a reduced risk of injury.
Makes sense when you think about it. When you're sleep deprived, your coordination suffers, your judgment is impaired, and your muscles are more likely to fatigue. All of those things can have a significant impact on athletic performance.
Absolutely. And there's a growing awareness in the professional sports world about the importance of sleep. Many teams now have sleep specialists on staff and prioritize sleep as part of their training regimens.
They're taking it seriously.
They're realizing that sleep isn't a luxury, it's a performance enhancer.
It's interesting how this perception of sleep is shifting.
Yeah.
For so long, it was seen as almost a weakness, a sign that you weren't dedicated enough to push through exhaustion. Now it's being recognized as a vital component of success,
Right.
not just in sports, but in all areas of life.
And it's not just about performance either.
It's not.
No. Sleep is also crucial for recovery. When we sleep, our bodies repair muscle tissue, reduce inflammation, and replenish energy stores.
Ah, that makes sense.
So if you're pushing your body physically, whether it's through intense exercise or just a demanding job, sleep is essential for allowing your body to recover and rebuild.
So sleep is like hitting the reset button,
Yeah, I like that.
giving our bodies and minds a chance to recharge and prepare for the next day.
Exactly. And speaking of recharging, there's another remarkable benefit of sleep that we haven't even touched on yet: creativity.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is where things get really interesting. It seems that sleep, particularly REM sleep, plays a vital role in fostering creative insights and helping us solve problems in new and innovative ways.
This is something I've always found fascinating. We've all had that experience where we struggle with a problem, right? We go to sleep feeling frustrated, and then we wake up with a fresh perspective or even a solution.
Happens to me all the time.
Is that just a coincidence, or is there something more going on?
It's definitely more than coincidence. Creativity often involves making connections between seemingly unrelated ideas or concepts.
Right.
And it turns out our brains are much better at this type of associative thinking when we're asleep, particularly during REM sleep, the stage when we experience those vivid, often bizarre dreams.
So it's like our brains become master mixologists while we sleep, blending all sorts of ingredients together to create something entirely new and unexpected. But how does that actually work? What's going on at a neurological level?
Well, imagine your brain as a vast network of interconnected nodes,
Okay.
each node representing a piece of information or a concept.
All right, I'm with you.
During REM sleep, the connections between these nodes become more flexible and far-reaching. It's like the brain is throwing a giant party, inviting all sorts of ideas to mingle and connect in ways that wouldn't normally happen during waking consciousness.
So out of this chaotic party, creative sparks fly.
Precisely. This free-flowing associative thinking allows the brain to explore new possibilities, to make connections that our logical linear thinking minds might miss. It's as if the brain is playing a game of connect the dots, but with a much more expansive and abstract set of dots. And because the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in logic and reasoning, is less active during REM sleep, the brain is free to make connections that might seem illogical or nonsensical in waking life. And these unexpected connections are often the source of creative breakthroughs.
This is blowing my mind. So it's not just that sleep helps us process information and consolidate memories. It's actively reshaping our understanding of the world, making connections, and generating new ideas that we might never have come up with while awake.
Exactly, and this isn't just speculation. There's a growing body of research to support this idea. Studies have shown that people who are sleep deprived perform worse on tasks that require creative problem solving. And conversely, getting a good night's sleep, particularly one rich in REM sleep, can enhance creative thinking and boost performance on tasks that require divergent thinking.
This makes me wonder if REM sleep is so important for creativity. Are people who get more REM sleep inherently more creative?
That's a complex question, and there's no simple answer. Creativity is a multifaceted trait influenced by a wide range of factors, not just sleep. However, there is evidence to suggest that REM sleep plays a significant role in the creative process.
Can you give us some examples of how REM sleep has actually fueled creative breakthroughs?
Absolutely. Throughout history, there have been countless examples of people who have attributed their creative insights to dreams or periods of sleep. The chemist Auguste Kekule famously dreamed of a snake biting its own tail, which inspired his discovery of the ring structure of the benzene molecule.
I remember learning about that in chemistry class.
And similarly, the composer Paul McCartney woke up one morning with the melody for the song Yesterday fully formed in his mind as if it had been composed while he slept.
Those are incredible examples. It really does seem like our brains are working on creative problems while we sleep, even if we're not consciously aware of it.
It's truly remarkable, and it underscores the importance of not just getting enough sleep, but also of valuing the unique contributions of different sleep stages, especially REM sleep.
So if we want to tap into our creative potential, we shouldn't just be focused on getting enough sleep, but also on creating the optimal conditions for quality sleep, including plenty of REM sleep.
Absolutely. And there are several things we can do to promote healthy sleep habits and enhance the creative benefits of REM sleep.
Well, before we dive into those practical tips, I think it's important to acknowledge that we've only scratched the surface of this fascinating topic. There's still so much we don't know about sleep and its impact on our brains.
That's true. Sleep research is a rapidly evolving field, and new discoveries are constantly emerging, challenging our assumptions and expanding our understanding of this essential aspect of human experience.
But even with all the unknowns, one thing is clear: sleep is not just about resting our bodies. It's a dynamic and essential process that shapes our memories, our skills, our creativity, and ultimately who we are.
And as we continue to unravel the mysteries of sleep, we're likely to discover even more incredible benefits and gain a deeper appreciation for the vital role it plays in our lives.
So next time you find yourself tossing and turning, remember that you're not just wasting time. Your brain is busy at work, consolidating memories, refining skills, and perhaps even sparking the next big creative breakthrough.
And who knows, you might even wake up with the solution to a problem that's been plaguing you, a new melody dancing in your head, or a fresh perspective that changes your outlook on life.
That's a beautiful thought to leave our listeners with. Sleep is a gift of time for our brains to recharge, to create, and to prepare us for the challenges and opportunities of a new day.
And as we've seen, getting enough sleep and ensuring we experience all the stages of sleep, particularly REM, is an investment in our physical, mental, and creative well-being.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, are there any specific things we can do to improve our sleep habits and maximize the incredible benefits we've discussed tonight?
Absolutely. There are several practical steps we can take to cultivate healthier sleep habits and enhance the quality of our sleep. First and foremost, it's crucial to establish a consistent sleep schedule. This means going to bed and waking up around the same time each day, even on weekends. This helps regulate our body's natural sleep-wake cycle, making it easier to fall asleep and wake up feeling refreshed.
It's like setting an internal alarm clock that tells our bodies when it's time to wind down and when it's time to rise and shine.
Exactly. And just as important as a consistent sleep schedule is creating a relaxing bedtime routine. This might involve taking a warm bath, reading a book, or listening to calming music. The key is to engage in activities that signal to our bodies that it's time to transition into sleep mode. Avoid screen time in the hour leading up to bed, as the blue light emitted from electronic devices can suppress melatonin production and interfere with your sleep.
It's about creating a separation between the busyness of the day and the tranquility of night, allowing our minds and bodies to unwind and prepare for a restful sleep.
And speaking of tranquility, it's essential to create a sleep environment that's conducive to quality sleep. This means making sure our bedrooms are dark, quiet, and cool. Light can interfere with our body's production of melatonin, a hormone that regulates sleep, so it's important to minimize light exposure in the hours leading up to bedtime. Noise can also disrupt sleep, so consider using earplugs or a white noise machine to create a more peaceful environment. And make sure your bedroom is cool and well ventilated, as a slightly cooler temperature can promote sleep.
It's about transforming our bedrooms into sleep sanctuaries, free from distractions and optimized for a restful slumber.
And another important factor to consider is our diet and exercise habits. What we eat and drink and when we eat and drink can significantly impact our sleep. For example, caffeine and alcohol can interfere with sleep, so it's best to avoid these substances in the hours before bedtime. Large meals close to bedtime can also make it harder to fall asleep, so try to eat dinner earlier in the evening.
It's like making sure we're fueling our bodies with sleep-friendly foods and beverages, just as we would fuel our cars with the right type of gasoline.
And regular exercise can promote better sleep, but it's important to avoid strenuous activity too close to bedtime, as this can make it harder to fall asleep. Aim to finish your workouts at least a few hours before bed.
It's like finding that sweet spot between physical activity and relaxation where our bodies are tired but not overly stimulated.
And if we're still struggling to get a good night's rest, there are several other strategies we can try, such as mindfulness meditation, deep breathing exercises, or progressive muscle relaxation. These techniques can help calm our minds and reduce stress, making it easier to fall asleep.
It's like giving our minds a gentle nudge toward tranquility and peace, allowing sleep to come more easily.
And finally, if sleep problems persist, it's important to consult with a healthcare professional to rule out any underlying medical conditions that might be interfering with sleep.
It's like getting a checkup for our sleep, just as we would get a checkup for our physical health. These practical tips and strategies are incredibly valuable, and I'm sure our listeners will appreciate having this toolkit to improve their own sleep habits.
And remember, even small changes can make a big difference. It's not about striving for perfection, but about making gradual, sustainable improvements that lead to better sleep and a healthier, happier life.
Well said. As we wrap up this part of our deep dive into sleep, I encourage our listeners to reflect on their own sleep habits and identify one small change they can make to prioritize sleep.
Whether it's establishing a more consistent sleep schedule, creating a relaxing bedtime routine, or simply dimming the lights an hour before bed, even seemingly small adjustments can have a profound impact on the quality of our sleep and, in turn, on our overall well-being. Sleep is a realm of infinite wonder and possibility, and the more we learn about it, the more we realize how essential it is to our physical, mental, and creative flourishing.
We've spent the last two episodes exploring, all the amazing ways sleep shapes our minds and bodies, from memory and learning to skill development and even creativity. And now we're about to enter maybe the most intriguing realm of all, the world of dreams. Throughout history, dreams have been this source of fascination and mystery, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Interpreted as messages from the gods, glimpses into the future, or even windows into our subconscious desires and fears. But what does science have to say about these nightly adventures of the mind?
Well, for a long time, dreams were kind of dismissed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, as just these mere byproducts of sleep with no real significance.
Huh. Interesting.
But as our understanding of sleep has evolved, it's become clear that dreams, especially those that occur during REM sleep, are far more complex and potentially meaningful than we once thought. They play a crucial role in a variety of cognitive functions, including memory consolidation, emotional processing, and even creativity.
So it seems like dreams aren't just random firings of neurons.
Right.
Our brains are actually hard at work while we dream, even if we don't always remember the details. We've talked a lot about the importance of REM sleep throughout this series. Can you remind us what makes this stage of sleep so unique and why it's so closely linked to dreaming?
Sure. REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement sleep, is characterized by increased brain activity, rapid eye movements, and muscle paralysis. It's during this stage that our most vivid and memorable dreams occur. Interestingly, while our brains are buzzing with activities during REM sleep, our bodies are essentially immobilized.
Oh, wow. So that's why we don't act out our dream.
Exactly. It prevents us from acting out our dreams.
That's pretty amazing. But what's the purpose of this elaborate production? What are our brains actually doing while we dream?
One of the leading theories about the function of dreaming is that it helps us process emotions and regulate our mood.
Okay.
During REM sleep, the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing emotions, is highly active, while the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in logical reasoning and decision-making, is less active.
So it's almost like our emotions are given free rein during REM sleep, while our rational minds take a back seat.
In a way, yes. This shift in brain activity allows us to process and integrate emotional experiences from the day without the constraints of logic and reason. It's like our brains are sifting through our emotional experiences, trying to make sense of them and find resolution.
So it's like a nightly therapy session,
Aha, yeah, something like that.
helping us work through our emotional baggage and release any pent-up stress or anxiety.
That's a great analogy. And this emotional processing function of REM sleep may explain why we often wake up feeling more emotionally balanced and resilient after a good night's rest, even if we don't remember any specific dreams.
It's like our brains have done the emotional heavy lifting for us while we sleep, allowing us to wake up feeling refreshed and ready to face the day. But is there any evidence to support this idea that dreams help us process emotions?
There's a growing body of research that suggests this is indeed the case. Studies have shown that people who are sleep deprived, particularly those who are deprived of REM sleep, have a harder time regulating their emotions and are more likely to react impulsively or experience mood swings. And conversely, getting a good night's sleep, especially one rich in REM sleep, can improve mood, reduce anxiety, and boost emotional resilience.
This is also fascinating. It really makes you wonder, what's going on in those dreamscapes that our brains are creating? Do the specific content of our dreams have any significance? Or is it more about the emotional processing that's happening beneath the surface?
That's a question that has intrigued scientists and dream interpreters for centuries. And while there's no definitive answer, there are several theories about the meaning and purpose of dream content. Some believe that dreams are symbolic representations of our unconscious thoughts, desires, and fears. Others believe that dreams are a way for our brains to work through unresolved conflicts or process traumatic experiences. And still others believe that dreams are simply a byproduct of random neural activity with no inherent meaning.
So it seems like there's no one-size-fits-all interpretation of dreams.
Yeah, pretty much.
The meaning and significance likely vary from person to person and dream to dream. But regardless of the specific content, it seems clear that the act of dreaming itself serves an important function, helping us process emotions, consolidate memories, and perhaps even foster creative insights.
Exactly. And as we continue to explore the world of dreams, we're likely to uncover even more incredible insights into the workings of the human mind. But even with all that we've learned about sleep and dreams, there's still so much that remains a mystery.
I find that incredibly exciting. We've come a long way in our understanding of this essential aspect of human experience, but there's still so much more to discuss.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of science. Every answer leads to more questions, pushing us to delve deeper and explore further.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the fascinating world of sleep.
It really has been an enlightening journey, and I hope our listeners have gained a deeper appreciation for the importance of prioritizing sleep.
We've learned that sleep is much more than just resting our bodies. It's an active and essential process that shapes who we are, how we learn, and how we experience the world.
Absolutely. And as we've seen, the benefits of sleep extend far beyond just feeling rested and alert. A good night's sleep enhances our memory, improves our mood, boosts our creativity, and even strengthens our immune system.
Until next time, may your dreams be filled with inspiration and your nights with restful slumber.
Sleep well.